This is the regular school committee meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that is. Members of the school committee for up to 3 minutes on school and education matters. Public comments shall be school committee and be brief and repetitive. The school committee's practice is not to respond to speakers during the public comment period. We are here to listen. The superintendent or his staff will follow up on comments outside of the meeting as appropriate. The committee will not permit profanity or shouting and request that the speakers be civil. Discussion of specific personnel or student matters and complaints concerning specific employees or students will not be allowed, but will be addressed through established policies and procedures. Before speaking, we encourage speakers to review the school policy ASC, which provides that the committee does not and will not discriminate, nor tolerate discrimination against students or employees on the basis of membership in a protected class. Speakers who share comments contrary to this policy will not be allowed to continue. Before starting, please state your name and place of residence. Do you have any public comment tonight? Okay. Moving on. We have superintendent's proposals and adoptees. We don't have any action items. No. So moving on to information items.
I do have, I've shared with you the MSSA, MSVA legislative priorities that we did discuss previously with our combined city meeting, but I just wanted to offer another copy of that and offer any, if there are any questions, I'm happy to respond to those.
Next, we have superintendent's update.
So I just want to offer some updates in terms of communications. We are gearing up, and I think this week we started our visits to 8th grade for 8th grade recruitment.
We start tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, it's coming. So tomorrow, Ray is working with the school counseling department, and I've listed the sending towns there in my report. So we will be, we've talked a lot about that, and we know that that is an area that we are looking to focus in on. And we have made some modifications to hopefully increase the tuition students for the future.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
Yeah. Do we have any tool or mechanism to get follow-up data from people, either immediately after a session, or I guess we wouldn't probably have all their contact info to track where everybody goes, but it would be great to get some sort of data, just feedback about the session, what resonates with people, what is missing, if anything, what we could do better. Even a simple form or survey would give us some helpful information, I think.
Sure, we can definitely look into doing that for sure.
Our resolutions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So in terms of curriculum, Dr. Harris Smedberg continues to meet with the VHS department chairs to review and update our curriculum and vertical alignment. And we will, there will be a presentation update in February at our February meeting. The VHS student advisory meeting in December, we were able to discuss the cell phone policy and implementation, as well as the student schedule. I'm meeting again with that group next week. So following that, I will have further updates because we're in process with both of those topics. So I don't have anything final yet to share. In terms of our district, I just wanted to highlight the peer mentoring that is happening. This is a great way for students to connect and also to build that sense of belonging that we are striving to do. And in February, there will be a presentation for that Ray will lead, Dr. Director Finney will lead with students to highlight some of those initiatives and also a very special initiative that they are working on connected to our changes or proposed changes for our FY 26 calendar. So those things will be coming in February. We are in the process of updating our policy, the lettering to match the MSMA and NSBA letterings. We are incorporating workshops as discussed at our school committee retreat. So our first workshop will be the second January meeting on the 22nd, and that will be shared at the end of the meeting as well. In terms of budget, right now I'm in the process, working closely with Director Heyman on reviewing our staff analysis and starting to put together pieces of the budget. So more to follow on that. And in December, we were able to complete the DOE needs assessment. So members of the DOE came and we were able to tour the 3 buildings that were listed in those applications that came through in August. So they are touring around to 93 different schools, and they are assessing each of those buildings to determine what the actual needs are and whether they may qualify for funding through the DOE to make modifications or changes. So we will hear those results in 2025. Any questions?
I'm just curious, for that needs assessment, is there anything that is being done further to sort of help amplify that grant application, or is it just like a hands-off, they do a walkthrough?
Well, I was very persuasive during the meetings, and I would say the principals were as well. So I think we, we put forth our best effort.
Mhm.
They don't really want a lot of interaction. I think that could hurt us.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense. I was curious about that.
yeah, they have very strict criteria.
Yes.
Yeah, and for the budget update, is that the January 22nd workshop? Or is that?
We're not gonna have January 22nd. No, we're not gonna have a budget presentation at that point.
Okay.
We're gonna talk more about what we'd like to have at our future workshops. The budget workshops will come a little bit later, and it aligns more to that timeline that we
Okay.
reviewed
Okay.
the last time. Yeah.
I think I was just confused because I saw workshop meeting, so I was like, what is that?
Well, at the November retreat, we talked about, instead of having meetings twice a month, that we would shift to
Okay.
potential
Got it.
workshops, some of those meetings, because it made sense to have an opportunity to discuss items. There's no voting on those. So we had the governance calendar that we created, and then what I'm planning on for next time would be a kind of a brainstorming of
Okay.
workshop topics, and then we will prioritize and determine that.
Okay, I guess I didn't realize you had
Sorry, yeah.
kicked into that, so I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next up we have reports of reassignments.
I'm reporting the following reassignments. Adam Leach from school counselor to .8 history teacher and .2 school counselor.
Reports of resignations.
I'm reporting the following resignations. Jessica Fink, speech language pathologist, William S. Cullen School. Clayton Curry, dramatic technical advisor at Bangor High School.
Moving on to business action items. Going to approve the minutes of the last meeting. Can I get a motion?
And I am recommending the approval of the draft minutes of December 11, 2024, regular school meeting.
Can I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Next, we have the personnel and extra duty assignments.
I am recommending approval of the following extra duty assignments for 2024-2025. Jamie Jarvis, History Department Head, Bangor High School.
I can.
All in favor? 6-0.
Next, we have the second reading of revised policies.
I am recommending approval following any additional discussion of second reading of the policy.
Can we get a motion?
Second question.
Yes, so second first and then discussion.
Yes, second.
Okay, thank you. And now looking for discussion. Member Brandon.
Thank you. So in looking at this, IT, technology director job description and how that obviously falls into policy, GCA 31, I was lucky enough to participate with a part of the, group that was part of the interviews for our new IT director. And so after having those interviews and identifying, what actually the district needs in an IT director, I feel like there's a couple of things that are not actually in the policy or the job description that I think would be important to note. And so I wanted to share what I think those additions should be.
Thank you.
First, that actually the explanation or expectation, of coordinating with school administrators to integrate technology into the curriculum is not explicitly written. Talks about sharing IT directives, but in initiatives, but not actually integrating that technology into the curriculum. I would love to have that further included more explicitly into this policy. Additionally, there's no mention of ongoing training to staff while aligning technology initiatives with the district's educational policies. I think that is something we all have talked about and definitely all agreed on as part of the search committee is making sure that staff are continually trained and well aware and well versed in emerging technologies from the IT director. Additionally, learning management systems are not mentioned in the policy, which is something that we rely greatly on our IT director for. And student information sections are only mentioned as a part of the day-to-day instruction. And I think we all saw this past year as shifting over to Power School, having that IT director very well versed and knowledgeable and supportive well beyond the operations in student information systems is very important. So I would like to expand on that and also include LMS as a part of the expectations for that in that policy. And then in the first reading, there were a few changes made that talked about the physical qualifications of this role. I think as we, as a school committee, think about what every policy that we look at, making sure that we are casting as wide a net as possible in equity terms, while there have definitely been some updates from the first reading that include, there was something as simple as needs to be able to talk into a telephone, which again, there's so many accommodations that are available for that now, but there's still ableist language like sit, stand, and the ADA has a list of approved HR language, and I would just love to those requirements are important and should be included, but there's better verbiage that we could include, especially this is going to be our final reading. We might as well take the time now, knowing what we're looking at, knowing what we want, to include it now before second reading. And so those are the recommendations I would love to see included before we approve for second reading.
So can I make a motion to put those in?
I second that.
So, do we take a vote?
Question?
What does that mean? Put this-
Yeah.
Well, we can.
I mean, are we gonna have exact language?
We can include the items that member Bryden has just recommended into that. What I could also do, if we want to hold off on the vote, we can table this. And then I can bring it back in February for a second reading where you'll see the strikeouts and you can see exactly what's in the policy. So that's another option. And I would like to thank you for bringing this in, because as we are having those discussions around the HR practices and looking at recruiting and retaining staff. I think these are really important considerations. So I would love to table it for now and then bring it back in February if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think she has to withdraw. her motion, maybe, no?
Well, do we still though, Marie's gonna go ahead and include that and then bring it back to us, correct?
Yeah, so we don't need to vote.
So, okay, so I withdraw that motion.
So. Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate that.
You need a motion to table this
We,
stuff?
we do.
Yeah.
I motion to table it.
So, second.
I shared my second to that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And then donations.
Downey School from Bangor Savings Bank, snacks to support students, having a total dollar value of $400. To Vine Street School from Bangor Savings Bank, snacks to support students, having a total dollar value of $200. To 14th Street School from Hannaford Helps Schools, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $1,455.04. To William S. Cohen from Mrs. Chantel Holmes, a cash donation to support students during the holiday season, having a total dollar value of $200. To James F. Dowdy School from Arthur and Elizabeth Cortrides, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $200. To James F. Dowdy School from James and Kelly Strout, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $320. To James F. Dowdy School from Chelsea Lowe, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $200. To James F. Dowdy School from Angela Domina, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $275. To James F. Dowdy School from Brandy Savage of Lighthouse Radio Network, a cash donation to support students, having a total dollar value of $200. To William S. Cohen School from Rihanna and Corey Kudo, a cash donation to purchase a scoreboard for the middle school field hockey team, having a total dollar value of $500. To Fruit Street School from Home Roofing Solutions, a cash donation to purchase winter clothing for students, having a total dollar value of $250.
So,
So moved.
Second.
in favor?
6-0.
Moving on to introductions. First, we have the first reading of new and revised policies.
I'm recommending the first reading of the new and revised policies. Revised policy ACAA, harassment of students. Revised policy ACAB, harassment of employees. And this shift is due to, we are shifting to align with the MSMA sample policies based on attorney recommendation. Revised policy BBA, school committee powers and responsibilities. See the minor wording updates in that one. Revised policy BBAA, school committee members' authority and duties. That one has also been updated to align with the MSMA sample. Revised policy BABB, student representative to the board. And this was some minor updates to align with our current practices. And then the lettering identification on that is one that we are adjusting. And then the new policy BBAB is the school board evaluation. And that one is also a result of our fall retreat that was discussed to bring about to the committee.
Very much. Have any questions?
I have a question. Are we taking a motion first?
You do the motion.
Yeah.
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, let's do a motion.
You do.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the first reading?
So motion.
Second.
Thank you. Or no, it's now discussion.
Okay. So. So for policy ACAA, I know that was changed, the terminology from harassment, discrimination, and sexual harassment to just harassment. Now, and I couldn't recall if that was previously done or if this is just something new, and is it like based on those legal references that are mentioned there?
These are definitely aligned to the MSMA policies, and that was based on our attorney recommendations. Director Carver Bialer is here to answer any specific questions that we have, because she's done a great deal of work on those policies.
Sure, I have a few questions. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Yes.
Make it as official as possible.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's whatsoever. So the designation in both ACAA and ACAB, I believe is, I know is harassment and sexual harassment of students for ACAA, and ACAB is of employees. So I think the designation is truncated on the agenda, but if you go to the policies, unless I'm significantly misremembering, it should be.
No, it's
Extended
marked
out.
off.
I think,
Okay, so
there's a separate policy, so now they're separated, but they're
They're-
still in existence.
they're separated out, and then within the regulations, there's ACAA R-1 and R-2. Similarly for ACAB for employees, then there's a regulation -1 and regulation -2. So we have two policies, 4 regulations, and the reason for the different regulations is one is harassment, so more affirmative action based harassment. And then the second is Title IX, so sexual harassment or sexual gender identity, discrimination, pregnancy status, et cetera. So that's why you have sort of one umbrella policy with 2 designated procedures within the regulations. The other, not to create an even more complex labyrinth out of this, but a lot of the work that we've been doing around this is to align with the codes or the lettering, because I think there was a lot that we hadn't previously. So AC, which is what we've historically had, that I think has been in place predating my role, sort of was the catch-all umbrella for everything equity-based. Now what we'll have is AC still exists, but it's more of a broad stroke mission vision statement. Then we have ACA, which already went through this process, which is our policy that's just titled equity. We utilized heavily the language developed from the DEIB Advisory Committee from 22-23 and 23-24 academic year. And now what was historically just AC is ACAA, so the student-facing discrimination policy, and ACAB, the employee facing discrimination policy, both that deal with affirmative action and Title IX sexual harassment.
Okay.
So if we're creating like a flow chart, it started off historically with AC period, and now it's AC, ACA, and then ACAB, ACAA, and then additionally, we have, you know, other adjoining policies, like we have our regulation, it's ACAAA, which is regulation, not policy, but that's our transgender and gender expansive student guidelines, for instance. And a lot of the finer point work within this was to better triangulate and have our policies speak to each other in ways that I think the intention was always there, but it wasn't as explicitly spelled out. So ways in which our student code of conduct and bullying and technology use would inherently, not always, but frequently interface with issues of harassment. It's now more cross-reference, and that's by and large due to really great collaboration with our attorney.
That makes a lot of sense.
That
but I
help?
Didn't have a chance to go through all of them, so I thought, but why? So is the discrimination piece, is that part of the harassment?
Yes,
Is there-
oh, yeah,
Okay.
yep, and it doesn't change, I think it creates more, both in the name and practice of equity, it creates, which you'll see more embedded within the regulations, but more guidelines spelled out explicitly.
Right.
So that I think in both theory and practice will translate to,
continuity across all of our schools.
Thank you. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, go ahead. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I have some questions. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Sure.
I recognize an ACAB for the harassment of employees. We have genetic information included, excuse me, on the list of prohibitive harassment. But on ACAA, the forward-facing student one, genetic information is not included. And I'm so why?
Okay, not an attorney and not our attorney, so I don't want to misspeak, but my understanding of the frequency with which genetic information comes up as a protected class on the protected class list for non-discrimination policies tends to be, the ways I've seen it is around hiring practice. So similarly to now the inability of insurance companies to deny coverage based on pre-existing conditions or likelihood of highly genetic things. I'm not in medicine, I'm pretending really well here.
I'm buying it.
But that's my understanding of why that would be visible within ACAB and not ACAA.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying.
Of course.
Yeah, 'cause there are obviously differences that would come up during the hiring process between the two, so I appreciate that. That just, I didn't understand that one. And additionally, I know that you're trying to triangulate and formalize and really narrow the scope by separating these out, and so I welcome you telling me that I'm making it too broad, but I know that it is best practice in my experience to include items like gender and gender expression in addition to sex, sexual orientation, gender identity. Is there a reason that gender as a standalone and gender expression are not included? Is that somewhere else, or is it just?
Yes, somewhere else. So, the way I've always approached this is it's less important to me, which protected class, a notion of experience discrimination, which is in the eye of the beholder. So if a complainant comes forward with, I feel like I've been discriminated against based on blank. If we look at the protected class list, there are inherently a lot that overlap. So for instance, race, color, ethnicity, national origin, hairstyle or color. I'm not going to try parsing out, well, is it 1, 2, and 4 versus 3, 1, and 2? So along similar lines, if there's a notion of discrimination based on, when we say discrimination on the basis of sex, which is that critical quote from Title IX, and it's expanded out, federal law covers sex, sexual orientation, gender, which is then gender identity, gender expression, actualized or perceived, and pregnancy status. Those things, I agree with you that language matters. All of those are explicitly defined out in the ACAAA regulation, which is the transgender and gender expansive student guidelines. And we have like a definition section. It's not ever going to be this language evolves so quickly, but I'm proud of it and I think it's solid.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for, again, it's one of those things that I think aligning and with our council and those model policies through MSMA, I think was the right move and where Superintendent Robinson led us to, which was really important. But again, it doesn't eliminate or reduce the differentiation.
Exactly. Well, I appreciate also Member Hassan's question so that we can have a better idea of where these are all falling in the grander scope so that it is, in a perfect world, easier to find for all of us when really understanding these policies. So thank you for that explanation. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moved. Oh, second. All of it.
We're gonna do
I got it.
this.
We're doing it from my- I got it. It's been apparently a hard vacation for all of them. Big budget season coming. We're gonna be
for.
About the students at the table.
So next up, we have committee updates. And first, do we have any questions or comments from the committee? No, okay.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I don't know if this is the right, one, but, I'm really excited about the workshop model. We'll see how it goes, but, I think it'll give us a great opportunity to discuss things, in depth and, fully, and, I struggle sometimes with taking up space or taking up time, so devoting at least, or every so often a meeting just to discuss, I think will make me and perhaps other members, more comfortable discussing things in depth without feeling like we're keeping people late.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, I think we all feel that it's well said. We're looking forward to this model and hopefully, making better use of everyone's time. So. We have representatives reports. We've all been already getting done. And, student committee updates.
Okay, so for my BHS students, we have midterms coming up the week of the 21st through the 24th. Martin Luther King Day is on that Monday, so no school then. And those are all half days for the high schoolers. And we're looking for any artists within our schools that want to publish their artwork in the Bangor yearbook. And that should be submitted before Friday the 17th.
Varsity hockey had a big win over Old Town Orono, 12-1 on Saturday. And another win tonight, actually. Upset. And we hope everyone had a great holiday season.
Thank you.
And I'll make a quick
Yes, please.
announcement, I guess it's an announcement for the DEIB committee. We will have a table at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast on January 20th at the Wells Conference Center, and that is hosted by the Greater Bangor Area NAACP. So I know that usually Northern Light Health has a table, so I'm really excited. This will be the first time that Bangor School Department has a table there, so I'm glad to represent both.
That's great. Any other? So we're gonna move to information and events, so information dates. So our next date, Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025, is our first workshop, and that's 7 p.m. at the United School Library. Wednesday, February 12th, 2025, is regular meeting, 7 p.m. in Bangor High School Library, and Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, regular meeting, 7 p.m. in Bangor High School Library. Any other questions or comments from the committee? At this time, we are going to move into executive session for the purpose of discussion of the employment of employees pursuant to number 1 MRSA 405.6. And can I get a motion to move to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
6-0.
We are now moving to executive session.
Yeah, good luck. I'm gonna roll in.
I mean, I went there. Okay.
Going to see.
Oh, was it me? You go in there. We have to come out and end the meeting.
Um,
Not on camera though.
No.
Right.
Anyway.